call the R&R hearing to order. Is there any public comment? Are you just here visiting, or you have any comments on the R&R?
I'm having comments on my proposed tax
Okay,
for my house.
okay,
My assessment on my house that I bought a little over a year ago is 44,000 higher than it was a year ago. And the proposed expense puts my property tax over $2,000 if it's accurate. It just seems to me like that's an awful lot of increase in a short amount of time. And I'm wondering, is this gonna be a yearly event, that we're gonna see our taxes just keep going? Cause they're at the point where I'm on a fixed income, I can't hardly pay them.
Is this
So-
something that needs to be addressed with the county?
well, as far as the city's budget goes, so we try to keep what we increase ad valorem or general at 3%, so we're not increasing more than 3%, and then where we generate utilities, so we generate revenue off of utilities as well, then we can keep that no more than the 3% to offset any huge increases. And so the cities, you'd have to look on that and see the difference, because you've got your different taxing entities on your R&R notice. It should tell you what the city increase, what that difference should be.
I'm just wondering why it's so high.
The city part, because,
No, the whole total.
well, all we have control over is the city budget. So that's all we have control over.
You don't have control over the appraisal value?
No, not in this jurisdiction. You would have to go over to the county. You've got 2 times to appeal your value. One's in the spring when you get your valuation notice, and the second is to pay your taxes under protest. But you can also go to the revenue neutral hearings of the counties, the schools, any of those taxing entities that are having hearings that have went over their revenue neutral rate.
Well, mine's certainly a whole lot more than 3%.
On your city, you have to look at just the city line.
But who sets this? Who sets this amount that I pay?
May I, for clarification purposes,
Could
Are you-
Think a little louder.
are you asking who sets the increase on your property value?
Yes,
That's the
That is
county.
the county. The city has a 3% increase each year
okay.
Of its general.
of its general. That's not 3% of the increase on your property. That's 3% of increase
For our budget.
for the budget for the city. The increase in valuation of your property comes from the county. And so you will need to speak to the county if you are concerned about the amount that is going up. Because the city budget only increases 3% each year. Also, I apologize, we did not ask your name to get you on the record. Could I get your name, please?
Sure, Bernie Martin.
I'm sorry?
Bernie Martin, Martin.
Thank you, Bernie.
You're welcome. So I've already gone over there and talked to them about my valuation, and they told me that the number of homes that were sold in the city, within the city limits, they took an average of it, and my average was way below or what I actually paid for it, was way below the actual value they placed on it. I mean, I can't see how mine could jump up 44,000 in 1 year.
Well, that's something that we don't have control over here. I mean, this R&R is just for the city's budget. The hearing for our budget going, increasing over what we spent last year. So that's all that we have control over and all we're discussing tonight.
Okay, so. Well, what I was told when I went over there is they raised it according to the average sale, the home sales. Well, mine was way lower than the average. So they raised my assessment $44,000. So I appreciate you guys don't have any control over that.
Mm-hmm.
I already went to them and they said that was what it was. And I couldn't do anything about it.
Okay. Any other comments on the R&R? Well, I guess. Either do you want to just close it, do we need a motion?
No, we need there's a resolution to adopt, to allow you to levy a tax that's higher than the revenue neutral rate.
Okay,
The revenue neutral rate was 28.544 mils, and we are levying 29.984. That includes the 4.5 for the library, of course. So it's a roll call vote to approve resolution 2025-3.
I hear a motion to approve resolution number 2025-3.
I move to approve resolution.
Moved by Justin,
Second.
second by Larry. Roll call, Bud? Cale? Larry?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. We'll go ahead and close the R&R hearing. And, we need a motion to close the R&R.
Yes.
Probably, yes.
I make a motion to close the R&R hearing.
Cale moves to close the R&R, second by Larry, all in favor? All right. We'll go ahead and call the budget hearing to order. Is there any public comment on the city's budget? Is that this one?
I think we can just write this as absent.
I think we'll go ahead and close. There's no comment on the,
We'll have everybody sign the budget certificate page.
do we need a motion to,
Motion to approve it first and then sign
we need
that.
a motion to approve the budget?
I move to approve the budget.
Bud, got you. Bud, made a motion to approve the budget. Any second? Justin seconds. Roll call vote. Bud? Yes.
Yep.
Cale? Yes. Larry?
Yes.
Yes. Justin? Yes. All right. Now do I hear a motion to close the budget hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Larry to close the budget hearing. Second by Justin, all in favor? Okay. We'll go ahead and call the regular meeting to order. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from the August 11th?
Did you have anything? I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Second.
Moved by Larry, second by Cale, all in favor? All right, motion passed. Sheriff report, you got anything? Deputy? Deputy Blair?
Fun.
Bike Timber Fest special event application. I think this is nothing out of the norm on this, is,
No, and we got the insurance today.
okay?
Second.
Moved by Cale to approve the special event application for Bike Timber Fest, and second by Larry, all in favor? Okay. Passed. Building permits. We didn't have any problems with any of them, okay?
How big is the building? How big is the building? The quarter building, fair enough.
Okay.
Oh, the Christian mix. It's okay.
We have these,
He's got more.
this is for concrete. New cut, shut on the shed.
It's already done.
Yeah. We just need to get a permit now.
What was it for?
That one, I still didn't talk to them for sure, 'cause that's that one we're done too. It's like, and then this one, he's building the fence, there's a picture of the fence on the back too. Fence is on the other the other too.
This is also the outdoor unit, isn't it?
I think so, I need to talk to him for sure.
I needed to get my steps in.
There you go. Anybody have any problems with building permits? I hear a motion to approve. Moved by Cale to approve the building permits,
Second.
second by Larry, all in favor? Okay. Ideal Tech.
do, yes. My name is Kevin Ingles, I'm a construction project manager for Idea Tech. Was asked to attend and answer whatever questions you guys would have about the construction process that we propose within our franchise agreement. I don't know what questions you have, but I'm here to try to help or answer whatever questions I can, so I don't know. Where do you guys want to begin? I guess open forum questions, or how you want to address things?
So, he stopped in the office today,
Okay,
just to make sure he knew where to go, and so I told him one of the things, that I had brought up after, talking to Atwood to see if they had a permitting process, and so we talked in length about that, about what we heard was happening in backyards and Atwood and stuff, and he has a really good explanation for how they handle that. We talked about that, so I'm just prefacing what he's gonna talk about. I gave him a heads up, cause I'm like, here's what the lady told me, and so he explained it very well.
Okay, well, so typically we have an underground construction build is our infrastructure, it's all 100% underground. With that underground, we have various vaults or pedestals. Vault is essentially a box that goes in the ground, has a lid, with a level top on it. That's where our connections come in for the fiber optics. They get spliced together within those. From those vaults, we can connect to different either residents or businesses, to provide internet service to those locations. There's also pedestals, which is essentially about a 3.5 foot tall cylinder. It's about the diameter of a basketball, and those typically go in alleyways. A lot of that is just because since it's above ground, we don't have to have as much fiber that gets wrapped up inside of them. It's more cost effective to utilize pedestals versus vaults. But I think the concern was, are they going to be placed in areas that are a nuisance or a problem for residents and things of that nature? So the design that we put together is essentially our best guess at where we can utilize and service every home, what we call a premise in a sense, every home, every business within that infrastructure. Coming off of those, our contractors are instructed to follow it as best they can, but use best judgment in the areas in the alleyways, whether that's, if it's, obviously if our design has it shown 2 feet right outside a garage door, that's not ideal. That's not gonna work for anybody, right? So we can move it over 5 feet. It's still gonna serve the same purpose. It's still gonna have the same value. It just won't be a nuisance for that homeowner. When the construction happens, there's a process in which that we go through that. It's not just that, hey, they come down the alley one time, they set it, it's hooked up, and we can't move it. So we typically, they'll do all the underground duct work, which is orange duct piping. It gets put in and it'll be stubbed up out of the ground, just a few inches, so you can see where that's going, where the plan is for it to go. So if a homeowner has a problem with that, they can physically see where that plan is or where that's going to be placed. Then even then, when they place the pedestal, it's still a period of time till we actually hook that fiber optics up. When they come in, all they're doing is running the fiber up through that pedestal and moving on. Another crew of technicians come in and actually hook up the fiber. Still at that point, it's fairly easy to relocate and move. So it's not a permanent thing until we actually come in and splice it. And even it's still not permanent, it's just a lot more cost prohibitive to change that, to move that, or change that infrastructure. We try to be as transparent as possible as far as how much information we supply you guys to the city. If we were to just provide a map to every homeowner, then we would never get anything done. Every homeowner is gonna have their 2 cents of what goes where and how that gets infrastructure put in. Not that we don't wanna listen to them from what their concerns are. However, we would never get anything accomplished, as you guys would probably know. I mean, you got everybody's 2 cents on it, it's not gonna complete. The other thing we have is a construction ticket process, which it's online, by phone, or by email, where basically every homeowner has the ability to go and issue a construction ticket issue, which we track and we monitor, and we hold the contractors accountable. And that construction ticket issue can be everything from, they left ruts in my yard, or dirt was left in the yard, or this thing is in a spot that does not work for me, I need this moved, this is blocking this. down to, hey, these guys were causing a nuisance in the alleyway. I mean, we wanna know that, right? I mean, they're working for us, we've contracted them. I can't be here personally to monitor everything that they do. We have foremen that report back to me on the process of what's going on. So that ticket system, has something that if it's not addressed or answered, then the contractor doesn't get paid. And it can be everything from a water line strike to a gas line issue or anything in relate, broken fence, anything that a consumer would have an issue with. And we don't take it lightly. We have that ticket system as a means to be able to provide the community a sounding board to tell us what's going on. Because the last thing we want is for your city to get overwhelmed with construction complaints as well. And you guys don't want to take a 20-minute phone call to listen about all the problems that have taken place on that. Just forward them over to that construction ticket process, and then our staff can take care of those issues directly with the contractor. It gets forwarded to me, I take it up with them, and as I say, we don't pay them until those are resolved. So they have an onus in which to take care of that problem, so. I don't know what other questions you guys might have coming off of that, or.
Well,
So are you going through the whole town? Is that part of
Yes,
it?
yeah, it'd be all within the city limits is the current design. Like I said, we can share that design with you guys. I don't know if our business development team has given you guys any kind of design or anything yet, I don't know. If not, I can provide that, that's not a problem, so.
So you don't use any of the poles currently?
Currently, we do not. The only thing that we would use the poles for would be a drop to the house. We typically like to set the pedestals near the pole, just so that they can come out of the pedestal, go up the pole, and drop to the house. A lot of backyards, there's enough landscaping and things like that. We don't necessarily want to tear up homeowners' backyards. Sometimes we'll just go aerial. Other times it makes sense to go underground. They don't want to have this wire hanging out, even though they want our service, they don't want to have a drop coming off the pole. They want it underground, secured, and not have to deal with it. So it's purely a preference up to the homeowner. At the time that we do the install, they schedule that. They say, hey, how do you want that drop to take place? Or you want it to be overhead, you want it to be underground? And our installers come out and assess that and work out that solution with the homeowner.
How many drops can one pedestal service?
So it's not so much one pedestal, it's one string of fiber. So typically one string of fiber can handle up to 64 locations. And we have 288 strands of fiber that will come out of, actually it all comes into the AT&T building, just right
Yeah.
2 doors down here. We don't utilize AT&T's infrastructure, all we're utilizing is their facility.
Right.
The facility provides power. It's not a cable or a copper line, so we don't require amplifiers or any power usage other than what's in the actual building there in AT&T. It's all laser, it's all fiber optic driven. The modem at the homeowner or the business, that is plugged into the wall and receives a light and changes that light signal into a language the computer understands. So, but to answer your question completely, there's not a limit to the amount of technology hasn't caught up to how fast fiber optics can
True,
work.
you could have multiple fibers in one pedestal
Yeah,
easily, so.
it's kind of ironic, and a lot of people ask that question, and it's amazing. We can have up to 100 gig service running on one fiber line.
Yeah.
And when you think about, transatlantically, there's so much fiber optics that goes across the ocean, and you think about how much communication is going across there, and it's all on about a little over 1,000 strands of fiber optics that go between the two. And they have not maxed out that capability.
Yeah.
So the technology hasn't caught up with the technology that is in fiber optics, so. But typically, we have 48 strands of fiber in each pedestal.
Gotcha.
But there's only usually about 2 or 3 that are actually broken out for those homes.
Yeah.
But then the next strand, well, hey, there's another grouping of fiber that says, okay, these next 3 will go to these next 3 houses, and so forth, so. But we typically try to limit, and that has more to do with light loss and not necessarily, data transmission. It has to do with how much, light the laser that's back at the colo is actually producing, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably a little more technical than you were ready for, I don't know, but.
I'm used to it. I used to come from telecom, so.
Oh, well, you're
Yeah.
ready, yeah,
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, cool.
Any other questions?
So if you have to use a pole, are you gonna like make radio You have to do a make-ready audit on the poles or?
If you guys wish, we can, yes. I mean, that's totally, you guys own the poles, as I understand here, so that's totally up to your guys' discretion. Typically, a drop to a house does not, attach at the same height as the infrastructure, because we're not passing over roads or any other public access ways. So typically a drop to a home can be set at a lower height. And a lot of that has to do really with what conditions are at each house. So typically it's about 9 to 9.5 feet as far as clearance from the ground to the lowest slack span of that drop. We like to be higher than that, but I don't know how much real estate is on the pole. Typically it's anywhere between 14 to 15 feet at the lowest point of a slack span for Department of Transportation passway or anything. So typically it's higher, so we typically won't get into that range. We do have to stay 40 inches away from the lowest power, which is the NESC standards, and so that's all governed by those standards.
So do you guys pay for that make-ready?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on the situation as far as how much is there, as to whether or not, hey, we'll just go to a different pole. If there's, a stack of transformers, 3 transformers on there, that make-ready could be pretty expensive and doesn't make financial sense for that utilization of that pole. Then we would look at pay as underground a better option. So.
Okay. On your deal here, section 3, on the warranty of, after 1 year past the completion of the restoration, if there's anything that has gotten damaged after that 1 year, do you guys cover that? If it went through
We can,
a
yes.
main or a water line? Or
And like I said, if it's underground, I mean, we're maintaining our own infrastructure. Are you indicating as far as any line damage or anything like that? Yes, yeah, there's, depending on if you can determine that it was our fault, or our contractor's fault, typically a situation like sewer lines. Because sewer is one of those things where you don't know that you had a problem until you can smell it, really, or it gets backed up. It's not like water line where it's pretty quick and instant and you can tell, or gas line where it's a different situation. But yes, inevitably it's one of those things where, hey, if there's an orange duct that goes right through a sewer line, it's pretty easy to tell that it was something that we were responsible for.
Okay.
So yeah, that warranty has more to do with the idea that, hey, we're not gonna cover everything that everybody else has done in town. It's one of those things where, hey, we're responsible for what we have done in town. We will maintain that throughout our infrastructure while it's here. So.
Anybody else? Lauren, did you have anything?
I didn't have anything, but if we're requiring something, if we're requiring them to do a make-ready audit each time they're gonna use a pole, that needs to be put in the agreement. And if they're gonna bear the cost for that, then that's something that before I can revise the ordinance, I'm gonna need confirmation. And so I don't know if you could speak with either Ethan or John and have them shoot me an email and state, yes, that's fine, add it in.
Okay.
I have the ordinance up, I have it ready to go, I had it ready. I had it ready to go last meeting, they had some questions based on that. And so, I mean, I have it up and I can make that change. If they can be, I guess, on standby for me to draft that real fast and shoot it to them,
Absolutely.
I can do that by the end of the meeting. If you can get a hold of them on the phone.
I can get a hold of John, yeah.
All right, I was gonna say, if you wanna get a hold of John, I don't know if the council wants to excuse me for a moment and I can step out and I can come with you to speak with John and
That's
we
fine.
can, and then I can get this done, edit ordinance 655, I have it, like I said, and then I can email it to either Lila or Jen and they can print it off for a final vote. It'll just be that one amendment and I'll just have them point out where that additional verbiage is.
Okay.
What kind of time frame are you looking at for all this?
As far as when we would start construction or duration of
Start to
construction?
finish.
So, after we agree on the design and what's going on, and you guys are satisfied with it, we talked earlier, there's not really a permit process for you guys here in this community. And honestly, that's fine. There's a lot of communities where it's just not every day that a telecom company wants to come in and overbuild on top of what you already have. So that permit process isn't as set in stone as other communities that we enter. However, once that permit, or once we come to an agreement on what that infrastructure is, that's when I trigger me to go find the contractor that I feel I want to bring to this community to do the work. And then after that, then we meet with the Public Works Department, the gas company, and so we have a pre-construction meeting. And then after that, we start calling in locate tickets. Locate tickets can take anywhere between 72 to 96 hours to go through that process. The duration, I looked it up earlier, it's a little over 60,000 feet of fiber that we would be placing here in St. Francis. Traditionally, we have contractors that do anywhere between 2,000 to 10,000 feet in a week. I wouldn't bring a contractor that does 10,000 feet in a week here because that would overload your locate capabilities. We realize that other communities have the infrastructure and the personnel to be able to handle that kind of demand. I wouldn't be wanting to stress that, right? I mean, our interest would be to basically work with how much you guys can stay out in front as far as locates and work to that pace. If it's a deal where, hey, we can say we can do 3,000 feet a week, can you maintain 3,000 feet of locates out in front? Then that's the pace that we proceed with. It's really, you're gonna dictate that to me, not so much what my request is to you. I mean, all I would ask is if whatever we agree on, that's how we maintain that pace. Granted, other areas may be more consolidated with infrastructure, with sewer, water mains and things of that nature. That it's complicated, right? So we understand that there might be days or weeks that, hey, we only do 1,000 feet this week because of what we had to pass, what we had to go through. Or we want to pick up sometime, maybe do 4,000 the following week. But the idea is to average that 25 to 3,000 feet on a weekly basis. And so the duration would base mainly on that.
Sure.
We do have a feed that's gonna come over, from Wheeler, is actually what feeds into the town. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Zayo, so they provide the internet service that goes to the Verizon wireless towers. We're actually using a feed that comes from Zayo to light the information town for this town. We have to get that from about 6 miles east of town into the AT&T building over here. So, that would actually be our first course of action to start. And so it's rural coming in, which would be a situation I get a permit through the county before I do that. So, that's kind of that process. That answers your question.
Thank you.
The other thing is, obviously, this is August, right? We're gonna be getting into the winter months. And so part of that is every time that they spot locate things, and when water, you're looking at active open water holes. Well, the idea is to not leave that exposed on days that it's gonna freeze, right? So the last thing we want is to have frozen pipes that we've exposed. So, we work with the Public Works Department to make sure that where we are opening up, it's the temperature outside allows for us to do that. And then we cover that back up, so that we eliminate the opportunity. That, obviously in summer, we don't have to worry about that as much. They still fence it off as an open hole. But at the same point, when we get in the winter, that kind of changes that mentality and how that works. So, the only thing, when we do construction, the contractor that comes to town will need water to work with drills and such. So they will ask if we can rent a meter, or how we can get water, where can that be sourced, and certain things like that. Because trucking in water is not feasible, really. This doesn't work in that capacity. So, but yeah, so those are things that we would handle in a pre-construction meeting. You know, once I get the contractor selected and we go through that process. One of the other things we talk about is the depth that you guys want us to operate. Whether that's 3 feet, whether that's 42 inches, and that's what we try to maintain, because water is usually deeper than that. So we want to make sure that we stay above it, we spot it when we cross it, and those types of things. We need to find out from the gas companies where they located it. So we got to find that where's the level that we need to be at and maintain that. So
Are you gonna be boring most of your lines, or?
most all of it would be bored, yeah, directionally. Yep. The feed coming in from Wheeler would be plowed. I'd be done with a vibratory plow. So most of it. Obviously, when we cross driveways and stuff, they'll bore.
I would ask that we skip to, D, E, and F while I step out because I need to be involved in B and C.
Yes.
So, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we will go on to the theater marquee grants.
Okay, hold on just a second,
Oh,
Keller, what's her name? Haley. Wanted to be here for that discussion, but I wasn't expecting it so soon, so
okay.
hold on her just a second, I'm gonna shoot her a text. Good thing.
We can skip to, property cleanup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we're ready for-
I didn't do pictures taken.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'll shoot her a quick text.
Anything on streets? No. I've not had a chance to get, I've gotta get a map. I got the, but we've kind of changed some things.
Have we talked to anybody about access?
That's under B, that line has to be here, unless
Oh,
that's what we're skipping. Yep. Anything
Yeah, Lord.
I got stuff in the pool.
Okay,
The painting.
sorry, Lila, we're, keep on moving.
But I mean, we could do the marquee before you even get there. You wanna specifically talk about that, or you wanna move together?
They've moved on to the pool report, so
Okay.
we'll come back to that.
Perfect, just tell me when and what.
So the quote for the pool was $58,940. It's from the worship. It tells you to do bicycle worship, degrease it, paint, repair, cracks and repair.
When are they looking to do that?
Say again?
When would they do that?
Weather permitting, probably soon be during it.
June one? Tomorrow morning?
We don't have to drain it yet.
But you've also gotta have it dried out, right?
Yeah, it'll have to be dry, it'll have to stay dry, it'll be fine.
Might not be this one.
Yeah. Unless it's your company. You only got them somewhere, I'm just not very organized.
We skipped ahead, you weren't ready.
Yeah.
You wouldn't-
3 times now you skipped ahead. And I wasn't ready.
Let's see how many quotes, 72 quotes out of 2.
You wanna give that back to Dan, please? It's just extra copies, Dan?
Yeah, those are the ones I made for you guys, I couldn't find the second one.
Yes, and you did one?
I did.
moves to approve the bid to repaint pool for $58,940 to be paid out of cash for the business. Is there a second? Second by Justin, all in favor? Property cleanup, Lauren, did you have anything?
I do not.
Okay.
Will be, the judge should be signing it either tomorrow, the dismissal either tomorrow or the next day, and once that happens, we'll just restart the process from City Hall. I'll talk to Wyatt about that.
Okay.
Now we can go back to the marquee grants if you want to.
Okay, we'll go back up to the marquee grants.
Okay, so we did hear from the Hanson Foundation, and they awarded us $10,000 towards the marquee. On the third page of your packet is kind of a breakdown of what the total cost of the marquee sign was, what we were awarded by the Hanson Foundation, what we applied for to the Community Foundation that we haven't received word on yet, and Jessica's here to talk a little more about that. And then the balance then that's left that would need to be paid from somewhere else. On the left-hand side, I've listed out all of the donations that the theater employees have raised since 2021, and it's significant. $19,453.99. And I'm not suggesting you should or should not use any of that towards that. That's mostly for your knowledge. Of course, the big project's going to be the electric and the plumbing and everything else that needs to be done, which will be a huge project. So that's just what I need. What I need from you guys tonight is just a motion to approve accepting the grant from the Hanson Foundation if you want to, and then decisions can be made how we're going to move forward with the additional funding.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to accept the grant from,
Moved by
for the
Larry,
marquee.
second by Justin, all in favor? Okay.
And with that said, Jessica has some information.
I thought Lila and I were gonna be having a very simple conversation that led into many more things, so first I wanna say thanks to Lila for coming back, filling in and doing the amazing things that she does,
Absolutely.
because, wow, I'm like, where have you been? Come back. So we were talking about, the foundation board approved the $5,000 request, but we were waiting to see what Hanson gave you to see if there was a difference, to see if we can fill the need. That's when Lila and I were talking about the reserve money that you have, and how can you guys utilize that and how we can help you. And then you have this bigger project happening at the theater. So then Lila and I kept talking about what the foundation can do to help you there. And project funds can be held at the foundation, and then you can have donors deposit money there and get tax deduction donations. And then, so, okay, let me separate this for you. So the marquee's over here, and you have $15,000 right now, and the total amount was
22,150.
So the difference was
7,150.
Right. So our initial discussion at the foundation was, let's see how much they need and let's see if we can help them. So that we could look at that 7,000, or we can look at half of that, and you guys can take half from your 19,000 over here, and then we work together collectively to create a theater fund that's just a project fund. So it's there while the project is happening, like the pool and the other bigger things that have happened in town. And then when the project is done, it's closed. So it's not an endowment, it's not a forever. But if you were to have some amazing donors come into play that wanted to create more in this fund could be established after your project is finished. Let's say you still have $30,000 left over, and now you can create a fund that goes towards the maintenance of anything within the theater, So I started talking to Lila about those things, and I'm like, she's like, oh, can you just come and talk to everybody? And I said, sure. So if I've lost you at this point, I get it, because I've been in your shoes before. But we can do this with the park project, we can do this with the theater, any project that's happening in town. You guys tend to be an eligible recipient, so you're receiving the money for the project, sometimes you're the grant writer, you know, you guys play all those parts. That's how we can collaborate with you, to help in the projects. Does that make sense? Yeah, and so then obviously, so Chris is here too, and so CCDC also is an eligible recipient for money. And so they will sometimes take in funds for, like, they do a TAP project. But that's where we can all collaborate and what's the best way to house the money, use the money, and get the money. So we all do that together. That's my main objective this evening is, her and I work together a lot, but she's a great grant writer. You also can, if you have someone who would come into a position and wanna do that, collaborators, all the things. We basically are saying, how can we all work together to help this community and to help this county attain the things that we can attain by getting Hanson money, going out into other donors, and what are the needs. And that's why it's important for us to partner with you guys, because you guys are hearing the community come in and ask for the things. Sometimes those aren't always a need, but at least you're hearing them. And so then, yeah, that's why we were texting Haley, because Haley had come in then the day before that to talk about the park project. So there are many connections being made. And so from the foundation standpoint, I want to do the best job I can to bring all of that together.
We talked about the park project and bringing, that's why Haley was going to be here, because that's another one that would be really benefit from a group effort.
Yep.
From all of these entities to make that happen if you decide to move forward with that.
And Lila and I have even talked about the other grants that are possible within, you know, whether it's bathrooms or whatever the other things are that you can collaborate with funds that the park project might be getting to be able to bring more money in to do this part to create this whole part to come together. Whether it's, you know, the updating of something else. It's pulling all this money together instead of this one group trying to do this and then you guys come in as the city and like, okay, well, we'll fix these things. Well, probably if you're, what people wanna see right now is collaboration. So like any grant that I'm a part of for a project, they wanna see me working with someone else. If I'm working with other people, they're gonna give us more money. If we're just all dangling on our own, they're like, okay, here's a little bit. You know, they really wanna see collaboration. So, and I just wanted you guys to understand, like, why the foundation is here for you.
And the question that I had, we have, so currently Dara is the appointed member of the council that's a board member.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that will change with appointments next year, but I feel like that person would be your connection
Yes.
with the foundation, whoever that ends up being. Okay, I'm pointing over there, but it could be any of you.
And that was something new because that all happened before I came on to the foundation. And I just was actually talking with my chair this evening and she goes, I didn't know that either. So thank you for, you know, going back into that because Dara's obviously been on our board for a long time. And so I don't know how that originated. She was on here. Was it just an automatic, like, hey, you're already over there? You communicate with us.
I can't remember.
Does anyone remember?
Or if it was the other way around, I'd have to go
I don't know
back.
if she was on that board before council.
I don't know.
Well, Carla
Carla would have been.
a council member and also on that board initially, I
see,
think,
how did
so,
that-
yeah.
I think,
But her point is Dara's going off of ours as well as yours, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so then you appoint who goes, now am I allowed to give you suggestions? Okay, and I need to do that by when?
January's our appointments,
Okay,
so.
okay.
So do they need to decide, with these, excess funds that we were talking about, and I wouldn't call them excess funds, the donations we've received by the hard work of those theater employees so far, is that what you're, suggesting that we use to start this project fund through CCDC. Or
CCKCS. So
sorry,
you
sorry,
can
sorry.
do it that way, or
This one.
we can look at what you guys decide upon, like how much of your budget can you put into what didn't come to the marquee? Then we can come back and say, okay, we can finish that, and then you guys can take a part of, or you can take all of, that's what we talked about. The 19,000 is just sitting like in a savings account.
It's just in our,
Yeah.
bank account, yeah.
Let's gain you some interest on that, let's be growing that money while you're waiting, to be using it. That was where that conversation went.
Does Robert have any input on this? Because,
Well, I guess, one thing I agree with what you just said, the money that has been raised is extraordinary. The employees of the theater, with Jessica's, I guess, encouragement, go down and work the thrift store on their days off. I mean, you know, and we're not paying them a huge amount of wages. They go down on Saturday mornings and work and raise that money, and, you know, it's 19,000. There's a little bit of that as donations too, but
a little.
the bulk of it, I think, is our employees, or your employees, raising money by working Saturday mornings unpaid. And so, if nothing else, we need to give them, I mean, I think it's extraordinary that they've raised that much money. How it's spent, I think, is up to you guys, not the theater board. But, and the other thing I just want to throw in here, you know, this whole theater renovation, it's been taking a long time, and I think we actually are getting closer, but it's not going as fast as I would like, but nothing does. But the one thing that occurred to me is, if we go in and do all the things that need to be done inside the building, you know, ceiling tiles and electrical and improve the floors and better acoustic panels, those things are going to be seen and heard and appreciated by the people that go to the movies. But the fact of it is, there's people like me that go to a lot of movies, and there's a lot of people that go to one movie a year. But when we do this marquee, everybody is going to see it. So this is gonna, to my mind, it's gonna make that building on Main Street be impressive to a very large number of people. So it's like, the difference between having something on the outside of the building on Main Street and something inside the building is going to affect a different community and a larger community, and maybe even, if we get the marquee sign done, maybe somebody that's driving down the street that doesn't go to a movie is gonna see it and say, wow, that looks great, and if we have to have a fundraiser or something to do the inside, maybe they'll be more positive. I mean, I'm trying to put a positive spin on this, but I actually believe that, I mean, I'm in the theater all the time, to me, the two things, they all need done, but if you're just somebody that doesn't go to movies, but you drive up and down Main Street, this marquee sign is going to be impressive, I think, and so it's just something to think about in terms of timing.
Well, and Lila was telling me the story about this amount that you guys have and what they have done. What my mind goes to is what donors wanna know is a story. So if you're just like, hey, we're doing a theater project, who wants to donate? What do you get? You get nothing. But if you talk about these theater people who are going on their own time and they've spent this many years doing it and they've raised this on their own, and then you talk about what you'd like to do inside, and then you show them, like, the marquee is already, like, there's a story there, which tugs at your heart, which brings out your checkbook, because you know where your money's going. Does that make sense?
And
So I think you utilize that, and then if you create a fund for it, now you're saying, and we're smart with our money, cause we're investing it with the foundation in your community that gives back to you. So it's a full circle thing, and we would be willing to help you with that if you needed us to.
And when I met with Betty Johnson a few months ago and told her this whole story, she said exactly what you said. You want to lead with this, you know, this money that's been raised by the staff. It is a great story.
That
So-
speaks
so I agree.
volumes, you're putting into what you're doing, yeah.
So I agree, yes.
Well, probably,
You guys just, the only thing I need from you tonight is and not right now, but by tomorrow, how much you guys want to put in on the difference of the marquee to then ask us if we'll cover the rest. That's all I need from you, cause then I can go back to my board and say, okay, this is what they're doing, they would still like this from us, or you decide to cover it from expenses you have, or not expenses, but funds you have either way, cause I haven't gotten the grant check yet, I told him to wait, cause I believe we need to give them more. So, you guys need to discuss the difference and if we need to give you more than 5, or if you're gonna cover that, so I can get the check to her. So that's what I'm waiting on. Yeah, you definitely get the 5 that she asked for, but there's a need, so,
What's the difference?
7,150.
You could use, equipment reserve for that, because that is equipment for the theater, it's an improvement of that. You could use that capital improvement for that, as an improvement, you could really use either one of those.
I think we do the capital improvement with the sign, and then just make project fund. The sign, and send out, hold on.
She said we can maybe,
Or we can use it later for the inside, right?
yes.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
We pay for it now, and then
And we like to see you
we
guys
score more
putting
points for
in
the
on your
inside
stuff
later.
too, that
Yeah.
looks
I'll look at it,
great.
since the employees did all the work,
yeah.
we pay back.
I
And that money still's up.
need a clarification. I think everyone needs a clarification. When you say the employees did all the work and they're working at the thrift store, they're volunteering. They're not required to do this, correct? It is not a condition of employment, because when they, okay, because the statement was made, okay, the statement was made, they're working and we're not paying them.
Oh,
No,
And that is very clearly not,
they're volunteering their time to work at the thrift store.
and that is not a requirement of their employment at being employed by the theater.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I just want that on the record.
That's why we love the story.
If I misspoke, no, this is volunteers, and it's
only
basically
you.
Jessica, she's the great manager. She said she gets them to volunteer to go down there and work, and I'm assuming they must like it somehow because they keep doing it, but it is, it's.
I just want to clarify, because we keep using the word work and not the word volunteer, and so
No, this
I
is-
just
Volunteering
want,
to work the thrift store.
perfect, that's,
Volunteering to work the thrift store.
all right.
Yeah, that's.
From a labor law perspective, I'm very happy with that statement.
It's a terrific service for the community,
Yeah.
to be able to use the thrift
Yeah.
up there. but-
It is.
I think they're working this Saturday, aren't they? I was gonna say, I think so.
No, they could all just say no.
That's
and
good.
We could have $0.
Yeah.
Well, there is, in that 19,000, I think there's 500 or 1,000, some amount of donations from people.
I would have to look, I
But it's
didn't break
not-
it down.
The bulk of it is from the
They're not
theater
Volunteering.
employees volunteering to work at the thrift store, yes.
So you think
Yes.
that we just hold on to that other money and use it for the big scope project?
Yes.
Well, he's saying, actually move that money over to,
Project fund.
Make a fund
do
out of it.
yes.
What kind of interest rate are we gonna earn if
So-
they invest it over there?
So all the money goes in our big pool.
Okay.
So I can, if you guys wanna do that, then I show you that. You pick your mix, like how you invest it, you pick all of that.
What are we getting right now?
I would have to look at a bank statement, cause, I didn't even realize this was an option, but, I mean, it's sitting in our bank account and we do get interest on that, so we just need to make sure that it's competitive, because
Right.
if we're making more interest each month with it sitting in our account, we just need to be wise about
Yeah.
that, but
Yep.
if she can give you guys breakdowns, I think that would be wise too, to do some comparisons before you
Yeah.
make that final decision.
Yep,
Mhm.
and I can get you all of that information, so,
Okay.
yeah, we just need to know, like, do I have that conversation and create that document, and then you get to look at it, and if you guys then at that point are like, this is not for us, then we shred it and we say that's how it works, but.
And the other thing is, the theater committee, we agreed a couple meetings ago, or more than that. We aren't going to tell Commercial Sign to go until you guys tell us that you want us to tell them to get going. So the theater committee is awaiting the city council saying, go ahead and call them up and have them do the project. I just don't want everybody to be confused about that. We're waiting on your approval.
Do
Was
it?
that a motion, Justin?
Second.
Hold-
I move to the marquee, full,
The difference?
7,000.
The difference, yeah.
How the,
Capital improvements.
it's been moved by Justin to pay,
And to pay out of cycle when it is increased.
And to pay at cycle,
Second.
okay, Okay, it's been moved by Justin to pay the balance of $7,150 for the marquee sign out of capital improvements and to pay it out of cycle, and seconded by Kale. All in favor? Okay.
I'm gonna have to listen to that again.
I don't think I decided.
So, I guess once we hear back from Jessica or get those funds, then it should be,
Yep.
What-
right?
Yeah, so I can process that tomorrow and I'll get you a check by Thursday.
So, Lila, as far as telling Robert, if she gets the check processed into us, then,
Then I will reach
Yeah,
out to you.
Just tell me and I'll call the guy. I don't know how fast. I've told him that, you know, we're working on it, that we trying to do it. And I'm assuming his bid is still good, and some time has gone by. I'm sure at the bottom of his bid, it says something like 30 days, but I'm hoping that he's gonna honor that, you know, even though a long time's gone by. But yeah, I'll just call him up and say we're good to go, and then I don't know if it'll be a week or a month or, you know, or 3 months, because he may have yet to order, well, he's gonna have to order some stuff, I think, and I think they fabricate some of it, but I have no idea, you know, what the time frame will be. I can find out, I'll ask him. But I'll wait to hear from you about it.
Lila, it would be probably okay to go ahead and have her.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got the
Yeah, it's
10,
already,
yes.
outside it's already approved, I just
Yes.
have to push the button, so.
Yeah, so it's already approved, so you can go ahead and contact her.
Okay, I'll call him tomorrow.
We need it tomorrow, I'll go get it.
I think Thursday will be fine.
I know where you work.
Yeah. Yeah, so then did you want me to go ahead and get paperwork on a project fund and then you can see the
Yep,
percentages?
and then Jen can get our
Perfect.
information, and then we can,
We'd like to compare.
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah,
Make
oh,
sure we get the
absolutely,
best.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll just keep collaborating.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Great
you.
ideas, Jessica, thank you.
What's
That'll
that?
be later, she's gonna talk about that later.
Well,
Well,
no.
or, oh, do we wanna talk about conference?
So we talked about so that's what you wanna talk about is the,
I just,
oh.
before, so.
Well, we talked about at the last meeting CDBG grants and the possibility of doing those and tying in the group that's already looking at this park across the way. So that discussion was had at the last meeting. Decisions will have to be made on that. Kind of the same kind of a thing as with the theater. A lot of people that need to connect and figure it out. But those grants are available. I talked to Karina, you probably know her, yeah. So, that's definitely a possibility for a large-scale project like your parks, so.
That's kinda what I'm kinda mixed in earlier
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the other park funds, so,
Yeah.
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 And we had talked about it as far as like the roadside park and those
Mhm.
bathrooms, updating those. But to go through getting the CDBG grant funding, it would have to be kind of a whole and tie this park in.
Right,
Well,
which
yeah.
is amazing, so it's amazing that nothing really happened over there, because then she found this and then
We can tie it all together.
that's what we're
into-
talking about, pulling things together and funding together.
Yeah.
If I
It makes
could
so much more sense.
ask a question specific about the roadside park, since we have not painted it yet. The physical plastic pieces that hold all the, travel brochures,
Mhm.
they're self-disintegrating at a high rate of speed. And so we actually have already purchased the replacement, but we wanted to wait until it was painted. So are we still gonna hold off on the painting until we get a grant to do the bathrooms, or could we possibly paint the outside piece
Did we
sooner?
put that up for
So we
bid?
could fix that.
We did, but
I mean, it's kind of already been somewhat approved, so, but I didn't know if that was an option, or if that should still be paused until we can look at more to the grant.
So that's gonna be a while to get the grants.
Yeah,
That's a long-term
Yeah.
project, so if this is something critical that needs to get done.
Yeah.
I don't know, so, I was just wondering if that would be a possibility. We don't really want to put the new plastic pieces until it's been painted, just because that's an issue in that, because it's, so, but about half of them are starting to come apart, and not usable, so, I don't know.
Are you talking about the previous project or just a smaller portion that needs
So
painted?
where the actual holders are, that part, so, but we didn't want to replace the plastic until the paint was done on the ceilings.
Oh,
so
on
we
the
didn't
ceiling.
paint them in that process, or they oversprayed. So,
So you're talking the ceiling
yeah, the
piece
ceiling
prior
piece,
to that.
yeah, if, I didn't know if that needed to be paused as well, so I just need to know so we can figure out how to replace the holders for the actual brochures. This-
I would think those could be replaced, wouldn't they? Cause I think we decided to hold off on painting.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, I just wanted to verify, I guess.
Yep.
So, cause we're just trying to figure out how to get the plastic pieces replaced and when's the appropriate time to do that.
Okay, I think if you already have the plastic and stuff, I'd
We
say go
have
ahead
them,
and,
so,
yeah,
yeah.
get that done.
We were just gonna wait until the painting was done
Does
before we did
it need to be painted behind it? I can't even
It
remember.
does, so, but I can paint just that
That
piece.
wall.
Yeah.
So,
Is there leftover paint from before or?
I actually have already got some of the paint for what the
Then it's
ceiling
fine.
will be painted.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
I already have it, so.
okay.
And I apologize for extending that project, cause it should have been just an easy summer intern project, but when you went up there and saw all the green that needed to be painted, that's why then a bid was turned in, and I know you guys were not looking to have that full amount as your responsibility. But when the paint was gonna be purchased and the supplies for us to paint it, it was gonna be $800 or $900, so it was like, have it done professionally for, what did he give you a bid for, Liza?
It was 19,
14, cause he
Like
took
16.
25%
it
off.
was like 16, I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you guys moved to wait on it because of that, but he will do it professionally. Yeah, if you go up there and you really look, the green is everywhere. And so, I wasn't about to put 3 interns on that, and it wasn't gonna be pretty. And the ceiling is high, so trying to paint that. He has a sprayer, has all the tools. But, so,
So do we need to revisit that?
I don't think so. I don't think so, we decided to hold off, so.
I guess, what's our plan with the whole thing, I guess, was my thing, is like, with the roadside park and
We talked about it, I mean, the bathrooms need updated for,
yeah.
I mean, there could be some money spent. We thought more wise, that's what we decided last.
If we could just
Meeting.
have a big, picture of what we're gonna do, and instead of just putting money here and there and there,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I think that was one of the concerns
Yeah.
of an individual too, is that it make more sense to do the remodeling and the revisions instead of just doing the painting right off the bat.
Yeah.
perfect.
Um, That's what I somewhat recall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna make structural changes, then yeah, that makes sense, absolutely.
Were we still waiting on? What were we still waiting on?
For this, or for the
For
parks?
the parks, yes.
Just organizing people who are going to come up with a plan. And that's where, again, it's probably gonna be a group effort, to get that going.
So Haley was gonna come tonight to learn about the bathroom portion.
Okay.
Because we didn't share that with her,
Okay,
so I don't know where she is, but.
okay.
But
That's
there's
what we're
a
getting
nice sized group of them.
Yeah, I know.
Very
that's what-
eclectic group of people, very excited to do things, so we gotta keep that going.
Yes,
And I think that they had even looked into a CDBG grant for their group. They were checking into that. So it just feels like there's a lot of different people wanting to do a similar thing, and it would make more sense to. But I don't know who from the council. You've got a Parks and Rec committee, but I think it's,
Kale and Dara,
yeah.
so
Um,
kind of a,
And then you have the roadside park board, which has got Carrie Zweigert and, somebody else from the community.
isn't Mike on there? And you?
Mike is on
Mike
there,
is
and,
on
yeah. So you've got that board, but, I suppose moving forward, probably a decision needs to be made, who's going to be the council focus representative one or more people for this group to start,
There probably should be somebody on the Parks Committee, which,
We're both leaving.
it's going to change, that'll change come
Yeah.
You
January.
got 4 months, you gotta get that. 4 months.
Yeah.
4 months to get this
Come on,
thing
kid.
done.
So,
okay, well, if Haley's not coming, then we can move on.
yeah,
Okay,
okay, thank you, you guys.
yes, thanks, guys.
I'm gonna head out. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Do we wanna jump up and catch distributed generation, work backwards?
Probably.
Yeah, let's do that. When do you have figures for us?
You should have them in your packet. It just says, it says 2025 electric cost.
Oh, gosh, didn't make a note here.
So basically what I have to do is I take all the kilowatts that we get from Prairie Land, and then I have to add up all the different bills that are associated with us getting power. So you can see our cost per kilowatt hour. Darren helped, he taught me how to get the avoided energy costs. So in the shaded areas, you can see each month what the avoided energy cost is, and then the difference. And if you guys, how are you gonna reimburse this? You know, we kinda talked about that, like, if you wanna reimburse at our cost, he said, you know, we just have to, at the very minimum, I believe, he said, do the avoided energy costs, he said that's what a lot of places do. So really, you need to decide which kind, you know, if you're gonna do the parallel generation, which is what we're required to do. And then at what price, what rate, then,
You mean the rate it's credited back?
yes.
You said most people do the avoided energy?
I mean, he talked about that, that was in that slideshow presentation. So it was working. He says a utility pays customers for excess generation at 100% of the avoided energy cost. That's under parallel generation.
And it changes on.
And
every month.
it'll change monthly. You know, and I did write down in my notes when he was talking about that, that it depends on the month, and as you guys can see that, it varies each month. You know, he thought around 2.5 to 3.5, depending on the months. Ours isn't, there's some months that it's not, it's just right at a penny a month, so, or, excuse me, it's around, excuse me, I misspoke, so around, if you look at the last few months, it's been between 3 and 5. And so then over there, the difference is, you know, the difference between the avoided energy and our cost. So,
That's not much, is it?
it isn't a whole lot, no, so. Just kinda depends on how you guys wanna do that.
Any comments, questions, or?
Can't do the cost.
What's that?
Cost, let's use it to.
Just the cost. That's what it costs.
At the city's cost.
That's what-
Same.
I guess. I mean, is that what we're supposed to do? Or?
Or the avoided energy cost,
For the avoided energy cost, so.
which there's some months that that's not even much of a difference.
It's almost the same.
We're benefiting off of it too, aren't we, really?
What?
We're benefiting off of it too. He's making energy.
Less
we're getting
generation.
back. Our bills cost it.
So we need a motion to,
I'm sorry, I need this done in terms of either parallel generation or net metering to be able to do the ordinance for the for the policy.
We can only do parallel, right?
You must do parallel,
Yeah.
or you may do net. You cannot do anything less than parallel, but you may do net metering. But I need this verbalized in what's gonna go in the ordinance and not in the policy. So I need this either the motion, if there's a motion made, I need it voiced with either parallel generation or net metering.
So what would be the difference in that maybe? In the cost?
So in this slideshow, it says, only applies to investor-owned utilities, not municipalities. Customer pays normal retail rate for net purchases, utility pays customer for net excess at 100% of the avoided energy cost. Maximum allowable capacity per customer is 150 kilowatts per customer, and then it talks about how many, people we could allow to do it.
150 a year?
Do we have to do,
Kilowatts per customer.
if we have to do parallel,
That's hundred and
we
fifty
have to do that
kilowatts.
and
of
then
production.
Per customer.
So that would be a pretty big array.
Net
I mean,
goes a step
that would
further.
be 10 times bigger than mine. It limits the amount of panels that any one individual can put on their roof, is what that means. 150 is a huge number. I mean, 10 or 15 would be typical of that. So 150 would, I can't imagine any other tenant, like a big commercial entity, having that big of a facility.
I didn't get that.
So how would we work that?
That's a good analogy. I like that.
And how much do they get per watt?
Well, I don't understand why we wouldn't do just parallel anyway, because it says it has to be, for net metering, you have to be a private, what is that?
You don't have to be. Cities may adopt net.
Uh,
So it's parallel generation is essentially the minimum that is permitted by municipalities to participate in. Private companies are required to do net because it is a step further in favor of the generator, the private generator. It's the equivalent of saying minimum wage is X, however, you can pay them more than minimum wage for an employee. That's the analogy that I would liken it to.
And if I was 15 miles west of here in Colorado, then it would be net retail. So just so you guys know, when you're getting the advice from the whatever it is, the municipal community, they're telling you what Kansas state law requires, and Kansas state law is more restrictive, way more restrictive than 10 or 15 different states, just so you know. It really comes down to a philosophical question, and I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Do you want to promote solar power? Do you want to have people put panels on their roof and put solar into the system? Or do you want to make that difficult? Do you want to make it where it doesn't make sense economically? That's what it comes down to.
We don't wanna make it difficult. Do we? So,
Dan, do you have thoughts? Jim? Either, what's easiest in the office for you, does it matter?
I don't know, so I would have to talk to Darren about this net metering stuff. I didn't really look into it much because all we're required to do is parallel metering. That's,
So net benefits the homeowner?
So, up until now, the panels I put on my office many, many years ago, back when the Kansas law was different, it was basically, if I generate a kilowatt hour of electricity, you pay, I just trade.
Right.
So if it's 12 and a half cents, anything I generate is 12 and a half cents, anything I buy from you is 12 and a half cents, and that's how it's been, and that was the assumption I was going under when I put the panels on my hangar, because that's how it's been. But in, I think, 2018 or something, the big utilities went to the state of Kansas and said, we want you to change the law. Don't require us to do net metering. Don't require us to trade a kilowatt hour for a kilowatt hour. Let us pay the solar producer a much lower rate, because it is much lower. I mean, we're talking about 12.5 cents and you're talking about a penny or two. It's a big difference. The state law said, okay, if you're a large municipality, here's all you're required to do. But you're right, you guys, if you want, you can pay 14 cents for solar. I don't recommend that, but I mean, because the idea, the big power companies, they want to sell you power. They don't want these guys, every kilowatt hour that a solar panel puts in, and I don't mean just mine, you can treat me differently than the rest of it. I'm concerned about the policy for the city. But all these solar panels, if you pay them 12.5 cents, more people, if you trade kilowatt hour for kilowatt hour, they're incentivized to put up some panels and reduce the load, and it's carbon free, and it's close to, there's no transmission loss. So to my mind, that's all a great benefit to the community. But the big power companies don't like that because you're gonna buy less power from them. I mean, every kilowatt hour that these solar panels put in the city's grid is a kilowatt hour that they don't get to sell you. I mean, just to be clear, both sides have vested interest here, but what it really comes down to is, do you wanna trade? And then the way it works typically is, at the end of 12 months, if the solar panel has put, like in Colorado, they actually pay them for it, they pay them that net avoided cost, but I would recommend that you just zero it out. You just say, if over the year, the solar panel guy gives you 12,000 kilowatt hours and they burn 11,000, that extra 1,000 kilowatt hours you just take and you sell it to somebody else and zero it out. The reason for that is then you don't have anybody having an incentive to build a bigger panel than they need and trying to get a check from you at the end of the year. It just stops that cold.
And once we, adopt this, that won't happen, because we're gonna have, factors on what they can build. That was the one thing that we did learn, is that we will not allow anybody to overbuild. I will tell you what he's talking about, every year then in March or whenever, I'm gonna have to remember to go in and do this.
I'll remind you.
If I may, just to pull up the toolkit, which was provided to us not last meeting, but the previous meeting before the PowerPoint, it gives an example of someone generating, if they have no solar power, their total bill was $100. If the city, the parallel generation, which is we're required to do, their net bill would be $45. The net metering bill would be $40 a month. So this is the breakdown as per the toolkit, which is the digital toolkit, which is put forth, which all's from KMU, which also is where the draft policy that they are encouraging us to adopt. I mean, and this is the standard, and they update it as the laws and the guidance changes. But I mean, as far as the bill here is talking for what used to be $100 of electricity, they're talking, and of course this is going to depend on hours, but in this instance, the rates that were run, it resulted in a $5 difference on a $100 bill. So,
If you look at the differences here,
right.
we're not talking a huge amount of difference.
And I think something we need to, consider, especially for the city of St. Francis, is because we sell power, we are able to keep our general fund ad valorem tax at 3% increase each year, which taxes are becoming a big thing. So I think that we need to take that into consideration, because we are a municipality. We aren't a big corporation or a big company selling power. We are literally utilizing the sale of our utilities to help possibly hold down taxes. And so that is something to consider. I do agree, though, that our cost per month, while it varies, and the avoided energy cost per month, while it varies, some months, for instance, in January, it was a penny that it varied. So at that month, if you would have reimbursed back at 6 cents and the avoided energy cost was .054. It gets, you know, it gets up to the 2 cent range, for a few months, so. I do think we need to be mindful of that, where we are municipality trying to do our best to keep taxes down, and a lot of our income is generated from our utilities. So, that is something to consider, you know. I would probably pay at our cost per month and not the avoided energy cost, because the
Well, it's
difference is so low.
simplified too, wouldn't it?
It's simplified, but really when you look at it for the past, I have 7 months worth of data in there, there's really not a huge difference. And, you know, maybe that's a meet in the middle thing where we could say the avoided energy cost, but, you know, maybe we do parallel generation and do it at our cost each month, and each month that'll change, but that's a very simple thing for me to go in and change the rate each month. But just be mindful that we're trying to keep our taxes down, and one way we're doing that is selling power.
Thoughts, anybody?
I'm kinda like on that meter myself. Just like, I don't know. Anytime we can help someone benefit, they're still using their energy. We're benefiting each side.
The other thing to, just to be clear, when you essentially are doing net metering now on a monthly basis. So if you think about how it works, if you've got solar panels on your house at night when the sun's not shining, you're buying power from the city. Then in the daytime, your solar panels put out more power than you're using, so then your meter runs backwards. So from billing period to billing period, you're doing full retail net metering. You have to, you've got no other way. The only question is, do you wanna do that for a year or for a month? That's really what we're talking about, because you are doing net metering all day long, every day for a month. You can't, there's no way to stop it, you know, the power gets fed back. So it's just, in some states, they say, no, you can only do it for 1 month, and that disadvantages solar, because in the summer months, the solar puts out excess power, and in the winter months, they buy more power from you. And by putting a lower rate on it, you disadvantage the solar. That, you know, that's fundamentally what it comes down to. But, to be fair, most municipalities have a higher load in the summer because the air conditioners are running. So the solar is actually providing power, unlike wind, which can do it at all kinds of day and night. The solar is generally giving you more power during the time when you have higher loads. Not always. I mean, there's a sunny day in May when the air conditioner's not on. I mean, I'm generalizing here, but that's what happens in the real world.
Larry?
I like the cost per year. I like to benefit the customer.
Do you two have any input?
Yeah, I don't know. I know what you're saying, we still gotta fund the city and also make it
Well, right now,
an incentive to have solar too,
yeah.
you know? But I guess either way, if we, credit our costs, or,
Well, Jen said we kind of meet in the middle and do parallel, but reimburse that cost, is that what you were saying?
No, I mean, that would be one way to look at it. Avoided energy cost just goes away. I mean, you don't talk about avoided energy cost, which varies a little bit more. That's just a thought from my perspective. I mean, right now, we only have 2 customers that are doing this, so.
and we're basically already doing that metering too, so,
Yeah, it's a good future. I mean,
yeah.
We're doing net metering?
I thought when you and I talked to Darren and he looked at the bills, we're basically doing parallel generation, the way our meters, the way
Well,
our bills look.
The office is full net metering, you know, the old terminal building, because you don't have a meter that can
We're gonna
differentiate.
fix that.
Right, but right now, for the last 15 years, it has been net metering.
Right, and it has been, but that meter was put in like 2012, so we have a new meter, I believe it came. So we probably need to wait till the 15th, that way I can end a billing cycle and, start a new one with it, so, yeah. Because that's what they got back in the day. I mean, I did not have a say in that meter, it got put in, I was told to
Well,
put this.
that was a
in.
state law then.
And that could be too, there was one person that did it, so, so that one will get a new meter, and it will bill just like how I'm billing Roberts, they programmed it exactly the same, so.
What do you think?
I go along with, paying cost, and from there, I'm good with either way.
Same.
Same one? What was, can't hear you.
He
You
said he
good with
was
either
with
like parallel or net
Yeah,
metering?
I'm good with either way,
Yeah.
just, but going with the cost situation.
So what are we doing, yearly or monthly?
I'm gonna go to the bookkeeper on that, what's the easiest for the bookkeeper?
It's really not, I mean, I'll do what I'm told. I will have to talk to Darren though about the net metering to see how it's gonna work in our billing system, just so I have an understanding of it.
That's what I was trying to ask earlier, what's the easiest for the office to do? That, and that's where
Well,
we need to go.
What I would prefer is to do the parallel and go in and change the rate each month, but that's just me. You guys hired me to do a job, so,
Well, if that's a one rate deal, that I would go with that, make it easiest for the office.
but I can talk to Darren too and find out, because I will have to get a little more education from Darren on the net metering stuff, especially if we're gonna do this whole thing cutting off in March, because I don't know that now that I don't think tonight we'd be prepared to make that decision, because, we're gonna have to see if we wanna do it in March, when is the best time to do it. We definitely have to be on the 15th of each month.
Yeah, I think this whole net versus parallel is all down to what's gonna be the easiest for the office to handle.
Maybe the easiest for the office, but what's the best for the community, I think, too.
If we
You want
have,
people to have solar, don't have solar, what?
if we've got a whole great big bunch of people with solar and everything, we may have to look at it differently, but what have we got, I think I heard somebody say two?
For now.
But the answer to that is, the policy you set tonight determines how many more people are gonna put solar up. It's determined by this policy to a great extent. It doesn't make economic sense if you pay a penny or two, or, that isn't fair.
Well,
It makes the size of the installation smaller, so you get less solar if you pay less than if
I
you do
think-
net metering.
I think according to what she showed a while ago, in $100 bill, it was a $5 difference in the month. Or
$5
in
go a
the-
long ways.
Well, but that example was from an entity that they didn't even have full net retail on there, did they? In that example? That example isn't.
They only had net metering and parallel generation.
I would quibble with that example, it doesn't show you guys the other option. I mean, they don't want net retail. As far as the accounting, it seems to me like you guys are
Because
surely
once
paying
we
some
pass this
computer
earlier-
firm. This is not very hard.
Oh,
I think I could write this code.
yeah. Well,
Basically, you just say, do we zero this out? Do we carry the balance forward in the summer months and then in the winter months debit it? It's trivial. And as far as the end of the year thing, all you do is just set a date and say, if there's any excess, and in many cases there won't be, but if there's any excess, you just zero it out and you, the city, just take it. I mean, you just get it for free. So, I mean, I don't think the accounting is as hard as, I mean, I know it's a new thing, but
Do you think the net metering would be a better way to go?
I do because I think it's better for the environment. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I wanna see more solar on the planet.
I
But
think
wouldn't
we need to
parallel
talk-
also encourage solar?
I think that
No,
we need
because
to
it
talk
pays
to
at a much
Darren
lower
again.
rate.
What's
It
that?
pays at
I think that we
3
need
or
to
4
talk to
cents
Darren
instead of
again.
12.
The only reason I'm saying that, do any of you guys still have your slideshow? I'm gonna clarify with Darren, because.
What page of the slideshow are you on? Because I have it up.
On 5 and 6.
Parallel generation and net metering.
And I'm talking about the total accumulated maximum obligations is as follows. And I need to make sure I understood him, didn't I believe that when he talked about that, once we put this in place, then that's how many people can get solar. You know,
Yes.
with our customer base,
Right.
then only
There's a limit.
6% can do it, and then in 2026, 7%, and then 8%. That's with parallel generation. If I understood him right, and it sounds like I understood, we all are in agreement that that's what he was talking about. With net metering in 2025, total accumulated maximum obligations is as follows. 2025, 3% of the utilities peak demand. 2026, 4% of utilities peak demand. 2027, 5% of the utilities peak demand. If we're all understanding Darren talking about that, which I think we need to clarify, then less people would be able to get solar with net metering than with parallel.
Yes and no, but if you go parallel, then maybe the cost doesn't even matter. So why, they were like, well, it's not cost feasible to get parallel for me to have solar.
Well, then there would be a build restriction, right? Is that the percentage?
I believe,
Was that 450?
So those,
both of them
those
have
3 and
some
4 and
buildings.
5 and 6%, I think I understand what it is. You would want to put that into your regulation, that 3 or 4 or 5%, whatever number it is, that's a whole lot more than 2 people. That's a whole bunch of people to get to 5%. I mean, I doubt you're ever gonna bump up against it, but the reason to do that is so that you don't have so much solar that you don't have any place to put it. And it wouldn't matter if you, no matter what you're paying, you would want that restriction in. Right, this is entirely different than how much you're paying. This is so that you don't overburden your grid with too much solar. But 5% of your max capacity it's a boatload of solar panels. I mean, you're probably at, wild guess, you're probably at 1/10 of 1% now or something like that. I mean, it's very small. It would be great if you could get to 5%, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Jen, you want clarification before we move forward?
I think that's up to you guys. I mean, whatever you guys decide, I'll just talk to Darren and figure it out.
What do you guys think?
Whatever,
I'm not gonna argue with net metering, but the only thing, would it be better once a year or once a month?
I don't know, I'll have to talk to Darren about how that works, with how Robert's talking about it. Whatever date you decide, it would have to be the 15th of the month, because that's our meter reading time. So you would have to cut that off on whatever month you pick.
Right, I thought about this. The Kansas law says, again, it doesn't apply to you guys, but they say March 31st, just because that's the date when the days are getting longer. So if you're really worried about that, you could have it in the even years be in the March bill, the March 15th bill, and in the odd years it could be in the April bill. Or you could just say screw it and make
March
your
15th.
regulation say March 15th. I mean, it's not a big deal. 15 days, more or less, that's not something to worry
It
about.
would have to be the 15th of the month, whatever month you pick, it would have to be the 15th, that's our reading date.
Then I'd go with March 15th if I were you.
And I think that's up to you guys.
We're still looking at this as the net cost factor.
Net metering
At our cost.
at cost?
Right.
If
The
we
way to
fix
think
it
of it
as
is retail or wholesale. Are you gonna credit over the year the retail price, or are you gonna credit the excess every month at the wholesale price or your cost? That's what comes down to.
And net metering is retail.
Net
Basically.
retail metering, yes.
Yeah.
You can still, you can do, I mean, if the city of St. Francis wanted to say, look, we're charging 12.5 cents per kilowatt hour, and we will only pay 11.5 cents, you can do that too. I mean, you can pick a number.
Maybe we'll get Darren back on the phone, don't you think? Just to
Yeah.
clarify before we make.
I'll talk to him and see if we can visit the next meeting.
Okay. What do you guys, I feel like we need to make sure that we're all on the same page before we.
Yeah.
Sorry, just so that way Jen's
So-
clear as far as billing and everybody understands clearly.
Yeah, okay, so it's next meeting?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. All right. So we're back up to executive session.
Did you get the idea tech stuff yet?
They sent me a response and I'm taking a look at it real fast.
Did you get, or email from Michael?
What,
Gene, what's our ETA rate?
So we have to remember that we're in the business of selling,
Yeah.
you know, and like Jen said, to keep taxes down, part of that is because we generate revenue off of utilities that might benefit a few that have solar, but doesn't benefit the whole community, right?
But like I said, it's, you're making policy benefit later. If you don't like all solar, then you're not gonna benefit.
I'd be with Richard, yeah, Grace, I'd be totally good with net metering at cost with on a year.
Probably too.
At cost.
Yeah.
Cost.
at the city's cost?
City's cost.
At the cost that the,
City's cost.
okay,
City cost.
okay.
And that's the reason I think we need to talk to Darren again, because, you know, I think initially, and I'm guilty of this, we're only required to do parallel generation. So, you know, that's what I focused on. I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but we all need to be clear, and I need to understand with Darren, the billing stuff. And so that's why I think, because we have noise coming from a customer who hasn't, is gonna benefit from this. Then we have KMEA, who we rely on to give us, you know, the best information for our municipality. So we need to make sure that we make the best decision, and if that means Darren explaining both of them again,
Yeah.
I think that's what we need, so we can make the best decision for the city. Is that,
That's my point.
oh, be gentle, that is a brand new phone.
Yeah.
Gentle, gentle.
Right.
What do you think, Frank? Larry?
Hey, Michael, pretty good. Let me get this phone, so somebody knows what's going on, and then we'll have to get into executive session. Where was it for you? Area on speaker?
I'm gonna move this phone, Michael. We got a new phone, so we don't have the conference phone that we had before. So we might have to do some repeating of questions if you can't hear, or if they can't hear you. Can you hear me okay?
I can, it's a little muffled.
Yeah, I'm also moving the phone. So I'm gonna put the phone by Amanda. And we're just gonna have to, oh, is that better?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so we may have to do some repeating, but we got a new phone system, so just bear with us.
Mike, how much time do you think we need to start out with?
Well, let's just go with 15 minutes. I think that'll cover everything I need to go over.
Okay, we have a motion to go into executive session for 15 minutes to resume at 9 o'clock,
So moved.
for attorney-client privilege, moved by Kale, second by Justin.
Everybody in the room?
Everybody in the room.
Everybody here in the room.
Okay, we're out of executive session, no decisions were made. Do I hear a motion, go back into executive session for 5 minutes? Moved by Justin, second by Kale to recess into executive session for 5 minutes to resume at 9:05. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. Okay, we're out of executive session, no decisions were made. Want to figure out where we're at, right?
We might have to call John Terry with Idea Tech.
Okay,
I have a response from him, if we wanna jump back to that.
go ahead.
So I sent off I amended ordinance what will be 655, and sent it off to him, and it basically stated that in the event that they need to use any city-owned utility poles for any DS facility, part thereof, or customer connection, that they will, at their sole expense, cause a make-ready audit to be performed prior to any such connection. His response was I sent him a clarification email and he has not responded yet, so I don't know if we want to give him a little more time or just give him a call. He said, "Hi Lauren, thanks for reaching out and giving us an opportunity to review and discuss." The two other people were not at a computer to respond, but they were able to review the document and provide feedback. First and most importantly, we are in agreement with the intent and expect to be held responsible for any make-ready work or other costs associated with pole replacement to facilitate fiber optic drops. However, since we are already required per the franchise agreement to enter into a pole attachment agreement, and for simplicity's sake to get the franchise agreement passed and published, we would like to request that the pole attachment language be removed from the franchise agreement and parsed out in the pole attachment agreement, which we can execute separately. If this is agreeable, that would be our preference, especially since there is already language in the franchise agreement requiring us to enter into a pole attachment agreement. My, I guess, concern that I would raise to the city with that is that our pole attachment agreement does not require any other utility to pay for and do a make-ready audit. So we would not be entering into an agreement, into our pole attachment agreement with them. We would be doing a separate one for them. And my concern with that is that further down in the ordinance, in the articles, we are a preferred municipality and they are a preferred provider, meaning we cannot have any contract with them any differently than we do for any other franchise with whom we work. So if we do not put this in the agreement, then, and we change the pole agreement just for them, my concern is that that's going to cause a problem.
Well, doesn't sound like they're gonna be using much poles anyway, to speak of.
But you don't know that.
Well, it'll be some, yeah.
But if they use it and if the pole can't hold that capacity, then we just broke a pole and we're liable for it. I said it has to be in the contract, because they know better than that, because I can bring somebody from S&T or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Mount Eagle.
I mean, I have no
They'll do the
problem.
same thing.
I have no problem calling him, putting him on speaker, and explaining to him that we have a standard pole attachment agreement, and that to change it would require changing it for everybody. And we already have customers under that, and the city's not going to change the pole use agreement, so that the make ready audit needs to be specified in the ordinance, in the agreement, in this agreement, not in the pole attachment agreement. I mean, we can call him and discuss that. The city can, I mean, I can discuss it with him, or the Mayor Milne can explain that to him, but it doesn't, I mean, however the city wants to handle it. But my concern is that we already have a pole attachment agreement, and the language in the ordinance, give me 1 second here. Sorry, I have 18 things up. The most favored provider states all the benefits and terms granted to the city herein are at least as favorable as the benefits and terms granted to the city to any future franchisee of the public right of way engaged in the same or similar business. Should the city enter into any subsequent agreement of any kind, no matter what the nomenclature is attached thereto with any other franchise during the term of this contract franchise, which agreement provides for benefits or terms more favorable than to those contained in this contract franchise, then the franchise shall be deemed to be modified effective as of the date of the more favorable agreement to provide Ideatech with those more favorable benefits and terms. So we would need to modify, I mean, I guess we can modify our pole agreement forms going forward, and and require every additional provider to perform a make-ready audit at their expense. But then we would need to adopt that new form.
There should be an agreement already to do a make-ready before the project even happens. And you could go with.
Before the what?
Before the project even happens. go and do an audit of the polls, just to see, before they even start, oh, we
Well,
got this in there.
But there's, I mean, their project, from what he said, their project is they don't want to use any of our polls unless they have to run it to a customer's house.
Sure, they say that, you don't know that.
Right. So putting it
So they're
in,
just gonna go from the ground up to their house.
But we don't have it in with any other, correct, is what you're saying?
we don't have it in with any other provider, and this
So we
states
can't-
engage in the same or substantially, to any future franchisee of the public right of way. So what I'm saying is, we would have to amend our policy, our poll attachment agreement policy, to include this make ready audit. I mean, they don't state that they're objecting to it. For clarity purposes, they're wanting it in the poll attachment agreement and not in the franchise agreement. Which, I mean, I guess I don't have a, it's however the council wants it. I mean, we can tell them, no, that's a deal breaker. We want it in, we want it in this, that you need to conduct a make ready, or we can just add that phrase into the poll attachment agreement that states prior to, and then for every future contractor. I mean, I don't know, which I don't think that there's a problem with that. It's just everyone else would have to, which I don't know why the council wouldn't want to require anyone who's going to attach to the polls to conduct a make ready audit.
Feasible to everybody?
You're just talking about doing it in the poll agreement.
Right. So the poll agreement, give me 1 second here to pull up.
Which, it should have been done, this make ready audit, when Eagle had the first one, really.
Yeah, cause they did all area.
Yeah, and we don't know, a lot of those should have been replaced when they put them up.
But we can't go back and change
No,
the way
but I'm
we
just
did
saying,
it.
for future.
But if we-
Right, but it doesn't need, I mean, this states that under section 17, all benefits and terms granted the city herein are at least as all benefits and terms granted by the city herein are at least as favorable as the benefits and terms granted by the city to any future franchisee of the public right of way engaged in the same or similar business described in the franchise agreement. Should the city enter into any subsequent agreement of any kind, no matter what nomenclature is attached thereto with any other franchisee during the term of this contract franchise, which agreement provides for benefits or terms more favorable than those contained in this contract franchise, then this contract franchise shall be deemed to be modified effective as of the date of such more favorable agreement to provide Ideatech with those more favorable terms and benefits. The city shall notify Ideatech promptly of the existence of such more favorable benefits and terms, and Ideatech shall have the right to receive the more favorable benefits and terms immediately. If requested in writing by Ideatech, the city shall amend this contract franchise to contain the more favorable terms and conditions, which means we'd have to pass another ordinance, which, I mean, I don't have any issue with that. We either need to, I just got an email from their attorney that says, if we could go ahead and remove 3I regarding poll attachment, make ready costs from the FA, we can incorporate the language into the poll agreement. That should make the FA good to go. So they just want us to modify the poll attachment agreement, which we would be, I mean, if we modify it for them, we are then required to keep that modification because any subsequent one must be at no more
makes
favorable
sense.
terms. And like I said, I don't know why you wouldn't want that in the poll attachment agreement, that they need to conduct a make ready audit before they use it.
Or aching the polls, as they say, that's another term.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Well, that is their term, so.
Thoughts? Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Cause a lot of times, when you have big services come in, you can request a third-party person to come in and do that at their expense, so.
Are you gonna work on that if we skip forward?
I have to delete paragraph 3I and I am good to go.
Okay.
and then I will just respond to them and say, the city will take this out. We are putting it in the poll, in the poll attachment agreement. That will be, I don't know if do you have that in Word?
A pool attachment agreement?
Yeah.
This is the,
I
Idea Tech is the first I've ever heard of it.
I have that.
You
But
have
I
that.
don't think it's in Word, but I'll go look. I think it's just a PDF.
Because I know you sent me a signed one by somebody else. Can we, yeah, if you can send me that, what I will do, because what I want to do before we approve it is send that to them, is, if you can send it to me in PDF, I can convert it to Word.
Are you going to take minutes while I'm gone?
I was gonna say, do we need to do it right now, tonight, or?
Well, if we don't get it done tonight, I mean, they're wanting it passed, and if we don't do it now, it doesn't go into effect until September 8th, 15th, 16th, 17th, September 18th. And just email it back to them, and as long as they say we're good to go. I mean, if she can just email it to me, you guys can keep going on with other stuff, and then I will be able to send that to them and say, just confirming this will be the new poll attachment agreement, and that you will be required to sign pursuant to paragraph 4D of the contract. Confirm that you're good with this, and then we will get it passed. I mean, it'll take me 30 seconds to do once I have it.
And I think if we just take just a short break here for a minute, Lila will have that, and I'm sure she knows right where it's at, if she sent it to you already, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think she has it in a PDF. I think she has it in a PDF form, and then what she sent me, though, was a scan. It was a signed scan copy. So I don't know if I can convert that. So if she has it in PDF, I mean, it'll take me however long my computer takes it to convert it from PDF to Word, and then I will cut paragraph 3I from the contract, paste it into the other document, and I'll be done.
So you just take just a brief.
Visitor Sherry, do you have anything you can enlighten us on? Or just a quick-
I think that'd be easier than me going over there and taking minutes and then coming back, so just.
We've got snacks for the break.
I know, right?
Are we taking a brief recess? Should I stop the recording?
I don't know how long it'll take you to.
I say we just sit here for a moment and.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll be fine.
Actually, I will say this, I've questioned whether we need to get a printer back here and have a laptop just for this stuff, cause
Yeah, we're going.
just print stuff right in here.
What happened to the big TV?
I felt like you guys really weren't, I feel like a lot of people, when we were trying that, just experimenting, and this is neither here nor there, but I think everybody was so used to looking at their papers or their own,
What big TV?
Chromebooks.
What?
we were trying, we had
Hold the
Wyatt
agenda and
coming,
the attachments up on the TV.
we were trying to use that as like, so then
People in the audience could see the attachments that were on the.
How about if you had snacks, we'd have more people in the audience?
Well, we should
I
get
don't know that that's true because Bird City puts out a very large spread, and there's
We should
not.
at least get a popcorn machine, right?
I think so.
Come on, popcorn machine.
Any machines?
They put out a spread.
They put out a spread. They get a platter, and it's always got some sort of like wrap or sandwiches or little things on it, and some veggies and a dessert, and they put out a spread. And there's usually more people at the meetings than Bird City, but they don't eat anything.
no notes to be taken, I said, let's just take a minute.
Very good.
We were discussing about the spread that Bird City puts out.
I think they need snacks.
They, yeah, like at least a popcorn machine.
They put out a nosh.
You should get it in an email.
Okay. I don't have it yet, but it's probably running through my firewalls. Oh, yep. Wait till I say I don't have it yet. Okay, give me 1 second.
Can we skip forward while you're working, Lauren? Okay.
I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to excuse myself so I'm not hearing what's going on, and then I'll be back in just a moment. If you need me, I'll be
I
back.
think we're at superintendent report. Not for sure, but I think that's where we're at. I think we're at superintendent report.
Okay, just for your guys' information, the water main will cost more than what I originally said. But for tonight, I will probably need permission to buy another $898 tapping sleeve. Because because the guy come out today to do the taps, and one of the tapping sleeves wasn't correct. Due to there's 3 different sizes of iron pipe. It fit, but not right, so we gotta get another one. They're gonna try to give us credit on it if they can, but I don't know that they will, so that's what I'm saying. I just need permission to purchase that for sure.
You don't need permission, that's
Yeah.
under the
Mm.
1,500, yeah, it's under the 1,500.
And then we may end up with more charge for them having to come back out again. So, here's one of the reasons it will cost more. So when you look at that, that's not 5 services given in, that's 5 services going to the other main. I don't know why it was ever done that way, but, so we're gonna have to put patch clamps on just to cover our butts, so we don't have problems later. So we'll have patch clamps and we're not planning on taps. Okay, as you guys already seen, this is John's letter of resignation.
That was fast.
Hiring. Tell me.
How old is this, you think?
No, I don't know. It's not good, no.
No.
Scott Lake was inches from pulling that hole out of the ground, we would've had 5 water
Oh, yeah.
fountains in the middle of the street.
Wow.
So,
How deep is that?
that's about 4.5 feet. And with the resignation letter, I need to get ahold of the state and find out what they tell us. I'm gonna try to, I think we can get an operator in training for a year. But I gotta talk to them, so we'll lose our only wastewater operator as of Friday. So, there is a wastewater certification class and or certification class and test coming up in Dodge City in October. I guess I'd ask them to take at least 2 people there, probably me and maybe DJ, cause he gets over water, or take somebody else.
What do you think?
And I never had the time to talk to Wyatt about it, but I was wondering if maybe he would wanna be certified, just if he does the mapping and stuff.
That's fair.
He's young, he's here. Somebody's working there. I mean, he wouldn't necessarily have to go out and do anything, just sign his name. But I'll talk to him about it, see. So I'll probably sign us up for them classes in Dodge City. The last few weeks we did, damage to gas meter. Haven't got the cost from the gas company, but when I say damage, I mean we mowed it off the ground.
Who's running?
Right there by Parkwood, Francis Street. Right on the in-house, it was the first line in-house. Maybe it's looking for the church and knows the sweepers got issues again. I gotta figure out what hose blew this time. They got a well with a power supply issue, I'm just waiting to get the power supply in, so hopefully that'll take care of that. And our forklift, apparently the brakes are a little soft, but I'm not real. I got an estimate, but it was $3,383, and when we asked him why that much, he said, well, that's for everything if I have to do worst case scenario. I'm not real, I think I'll find a couple more bids on that before we go any further.
Who's that from?
This done. So, I think that's all I have.
Was that good news?
That was all the good news.
Party, or retirement. That's what you.
I didn't know that jury was gonna do that.
Here's one, Sherry, is that what yours is?
Did you notice this? You got all that? Is there any questions for Dan? If not, is there a motion to accept our
accept as superintendent.
Moved by Justin and seconded by Larry to, accept and file the superintendent report. All in favor?
Yep.
Treasurer report,
And Lauren's gonna help me after that.
okay, clerk report. This is the most
This is gonna
convoluted
be the
meeting.
worst meeting to try to write minutes
Oh
for.
my gosh, couldn't even- yeah, oh my gosh.
Just to have the AI do it.
Yeah.
AI
Yeah.
transcript those.
You know, snacks would probably put this in
Come Friday
Dear.
for snacks.
I only have a couple things. On the projects pending the council chamber sound system, I added that on there so that it wouldn't get forgotten. I got one response back on the clerk link, and it was somebody else who was interested in responses, so I've got nothing. So I'm hoping somebody can do some
I was gonna look
research.
into more of it, but I've been through oral surgery and I haven't done very much.
Okay, well, and I was gonna ask Wyatt, but this is a little bit out of his wheelhouse. I could ask Jerry if he's got any thoughts on it. I don't know if he would, but I don't have anything for you at this point in time, so suggestions would be very welcome. The only other thing that I didn't write down here, and I'm gonna email it out, but this is just a heads up, there's a Coma Cora webinar that if there's anybody here who hasn't had a Coma Cora training, it would probably be worthwhile. It's put on by the league. And so look for an email. You can register yourself. The city will pay for it if there's a cost. And that's really all I have.
Do I hear a motion to accept and file the clerk report?
So moved.
Moved by Larry, second by Justin, all in favor? Clerk report approved. Council comments? Bud? Kale?
I don't think so.
Larry?
Concert in the Park's coming up September 6th. Starting at 6 o'clock at night, vendors and games and lots of fun stuff, good music.
Justin?
Thanks, Dan, and your crew for doing all the cleanup. And shoot. That's all I got.
Till the sweeper broke.
Tell us, there's a little more cleanup to do over here.
Cleanup
I
on
have,
South Benton.
I gotta figure out how to fix the sweeper it's like going underneath where you can't reach, you can't even, I don't even know what it is, but I can't get rid of it.
Chopped it up.
It's kinda heavy.
Someone got a heavy duty lift.
What's that?
Someone in town on a heavy duty lift.
If you'd have seen the way we got back to the plant, when we laid it over in the ditch, we could've just looked at it.
Oh, that's it.
He made the turn. Would a standard lift, something like that work? I think a big jack would work, oversized jack. We do have some metal ramps down there that I might be able to get it on, I just haven't had time.
Wonder if we could do the executive session on the clerk applications. What are you thinking, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
Probably 5.
I don't know how we could do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, why don't we, do
Good plan.
I hear a motion to go into, oh, hang on,
Oh,
hang on.
Each one.
You about got denied. We almost went into executive session.
I can leave.
Are you going to want me to print that before they make a motion for it? On the ordinance?
No, but I need to email it off and get a response before they can do that.
Okay.
'Kay.
Oh, I thought you did that already, I'm sorry.
No, I changed it because I can't think when
Okay,
everything else is going
So
on.
should we do the 5 minutes executive session, to discuss
okay.
city clerk applications? A motion? Justin moved to go into executive session for 5 minutes. to
For
resume at
what,
9:30 for
non-elected personnel?
non-elected personnel,
Sorry.
city clerk applications.
So now we're up, down to 16?
We're down to, yes, well, yeah, we're done with 14, 15, we're now on to 16, we have to jump back to 11 and 12.
Okay, so it was by Justin and,
Moved by Justin.
Oh, my lord. You did it.
9:36 maybe?
What's the second?
Then-
Second.
Second by Kale, all in favor?
hold on,
Prior to executive session, no decisions were made. No.
Are we done with executive session?
Yep.
Okay.
Is there any rules on putting it on a website? I think I'll put it on Highway 36 website.
I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, wherever we.
Anywhere we can get the word out.
That'll go to 26 states.
Yeah, when we get it, well, we have the ad that was ran in the newspaper, so I can just send that to you.
I'll talk to Cricket and see if I can get it put on 36.
The Marquis.
There you go.
Do we need to go get Lauren?
Maybe on the radio.
There you go.
You have a radio anymore?
I think everything that's left is,
Laura.
Huh?
I think everything that's left is Lauren. Did you go get some?
No, I can't.
I'm just gonna keep walking.
I thought she was off on her own doing something. I don't know.
I think she took advantage of not having to sit there bringing it, but.
We won't have no trash cans.
Did you have a place to put
I don't know, I found it last night or something. Just afternoon. What kids are gonna do? I mean,
But they got that paint down in Heritage, didn't they? So you might be able to match it. Hey, look,
we,
What was that, officer?
Deputy. Everything's.
Okay.
I mean, kids. What can we skip to?
Everyone, no, go ahead. When-
Adjournment.
Adjourn. We could go to
you
the,
own the rest of the meeting.
Jen has.
Jen has something that you need to do.
Okay,
first.
yeah, I'm just sending send. When I went to attach it, when I went to save it, to send it reformatted all of the formatting and the margins and everything, so I had to fix that. So I'm just hitting send right now. So go ahead.
Did you have a chance to look at the CMD that was uploaded? So they changed the procedures. The only reason I need your input on it, so you should have this on the shared.
Okay.
So, we have now a new procedure for how we're gonna do cereal malt beverage
Okay.
licenses. submit their completed application form and the $25 state CMB stamp fee to the Alcoholic Beverage Control at the following address. So before, they brought it all into us, we brought it to you guys, we collected the $25 stamp fee along with what is in our code, which is on the back of this.
I was
our
gonna say,
code.
we're gonna need to amend. Okay.
And so now, just so everybody's aware of this, so what's gonna happen is they're gonna mail their completed application, $25 to the state. The state's gonna review it. We can also still have them bring us an application as well. Just because the state approves it, we still have the final say if we wanna approve their CMB license. So, then the state will mail everything back to them along with the stamps. I don't know that you guys are aware, I've never explained it. So after you guys approve these, what happens is, I have stamps from the state, and there's 3 different colors, one gets put on their license that we create, one gets put on, a form that I send back to the state, and one gets put on their, application that goes to the state. So some of that's changing as well. The applicant is responsible, if it gets approved by the state, for bringing their application into us along with those stamps. And then we still do our procedure, bringing it to the council, you guys approve it. Yes, and so Lauren's right, on the back, the way our code reads, it includes that we collect the $25 stamp fee and then send it off. That piece is going away. And so, this is effective October 1.
We just sent all of ours in today.
Perfect,
Go ahead.
perfect. The state, Wyatt and I did a webinar last week. It sounds like, so the last couple of years, on their new form, they have asked for, email addresses. So it sounds like they emailed, everybody who's had one of these issued. So everybody who gets them from us should have received an email if everything went well. So they are aware of this change, because they need to be, on it, because now we've got mail time to and from Topeka, their review time there. All of our regular CMB holders is a January 1 start date, so, there's some reasons the state did this. I believe that, somehow years and years ago, it sounds like maybe it got passed to the cities, the procedure that we're currently doing, and really the whole time the state should have been doing this. It was a good webinar, I learned a lot, we do need to fix our code. This will be implemented with all of our CMB people this year, so, I'm gonna reach out to everybody in the coming weeks, make sure they got that email, make sure that they've gotten their stuff to the state, just so we don't have any lag time. Because as you guys know, if they don't get it to us by the last meeting in December, then I don't know when our first meeting is in January, but then they don't have a current CMB license into January till that meeting. So I'll make sure to reach out to them, we don't have that many, but.
Yeah, ours said that we would have 2 stamps on it, one from the state, one from the city.
Yep, and you'll bring it all into us then, and then we'll collect our fee, and then we'll bring it to the council, so. It'll be a fairly simple process, as long as, applications don't get lost, stamps don't get lost. Anyways, so let you know that we are gonna have to fix the code.
Did you already bring up the Cora thing?
The core thing.
About the
No,
records?
I did not. No,
Perfect.
I talked
Can I
about the
s-
training.
Can I segue into changing the code? From this one, Jen?
You do whatever you need to, I need to make sure that I'm doing right by my customers and that our code's correct.
Perfect.
And that's
Speaking
all
of our code being correct, there was a House bill which became effective on July 1st of 2025, and it states that there can no longer be a flat fee for open records requests. So, it can no longer be, the costs have to accurately reflect what the cost to the city is. And so our code will need to be revised because the amount per page for a records request, it used to be that a flat fee was fine, but going forward, it has to actually reflect the cost to the city of it, and so I'll need to get with Jen, I think it'll probably be Jen, because we'll need to know, what a case of paper is going for and what the ink that you guys buy is, because we're gonna need to actually calculate the cost per page to the city. And then we have it in there that in the event that the records requests needs to be done by a city employee, it used to be that, if they were to do the research, it would be $25 an hour, a minimum of a $25 charge. Under the new law, we cannot do that anymore. It can only be what the actual time is. You can't set a flat fee for it. So it will be that amount. Also, our code says that in the event it's estimated to be more than 100, they can require a prepayment. We need to put a clause in there that any additional amounts will be billed, any remaining amounts will be refunded, because we can't set a fee saying we think it's going to take 4 hours, we're billing you for 4 hours, pay up front. My understanding is we can collect the funds up front if we think it's going to be more than a set amount, but we do have to provide that a refund they will have to track their time and a refund has to be provided. So this is another thing that is a requirement that needs to be done, and so this is just an FYI. I will be bringing that ordinance and this ordinance, I'll be submitting it for the next meeting for your review, but I will need to get with Jen. I'm assuming it's Jen that I'll need to get with, that you're the one who handles the paying for the supplies and everything. And we will need to figure out what that is, and then the time for the employees to print it. And so I'm guessing that it's not, they said that, places usually charge 25 cents. I think we charge 50 cents, and that the actual cost of that to the city is less than. And so the guidance is that the cities can't be profiting, even if it's an additional 5 cents, 2 cents, whatever cents profit off of their statutory requirement to provide documents under Cora. So you will have multiple new ordinances next meeting.
I'm just gonna say this, I don't know who comes up with this stuff in Topeka, but do you know how hard it's gonna be to calculate piece of paper, that's gonna be easy peasy, really, ink and everything, my word.
Let me just interject one thing, and maybe I've not been doing the code correctly, but in my entire time here, we have never charged for an open records request because it doesn't take much time. Most of the requests we get are like a document or something.
Copy of the budget.
Most of them are electronic. Occasionally, if they ask for a paper copy, we would charge for that.
Right.
But I never charged for my time, and the reason I didn't is because most of the requests we get are legitimate requests. It's not somebody just fishing for information, and it's for transparency. I always felt like that was the right thing to do. If I'm able to provide it in a timely manner and it doesn't take a lot of time,
Public service, yeah.
I mean, that's how I did it, but
And honestly, the main concern that I have with the code is the way it's written right now is that we charge 50 cents a page, and they automatically said they don't even think that 25 cents a page is appropriate anymore. So we are going to have to figure out what, as close to, reasonably close to possible, is the.
So you can't just say like 10 cents?
No.
I'm gonna interject and say maybe we don't even charge for copies because, again.
seriously.
I would say that, or that copies under so many pages will be provided by the city. Copies which are more than so many pages will be at a 10 cents. I mean, we'll have to take a look at it, but something along those lines.
Because literally by the time I look all this up and calculate it, it's gonna take you 3 years to recoup that amount of time that I spent.
Most of the records requests are very straightforward. We get this one every year, annual. I've got a spreadsheet. We provide what they want. It's people in Florida that ask for wage information. But it doesn't take maybe 15 minutes to populate the spreadsheet and send it off.
Yeah.
So I just never did charge for any.
I wouldn't charge for copies now, that's up to you guys, if it was
Yeah.
me, time.
I mean, I think that I think that is in there, the research is in the code in the event that somebody has that request.
Yes, and
And
I
I don't
agree
think-
it should be in there.
And I don't,
think if you're digging through old records and you're spending a lot of
Yeah.
time trying to
Yes.
find
right,
old
right.
documents,
My,
that
my,
should
my
be in
point
there.
on, my point on that is that we can't say there's a minimum $25 charge. We can say there is a $25 an hour
may-
charge. It will be,
There
t-
may be a
right, for records requests that require
extensive research.
extensive research.
Well, doesn't our code already say that if it's something, or even in that information I sent, something
Right.
other than I can't even remember the wording, something that doesn't take
Right,
long
a simple
cannot be
request, right.
charged for.
It states that if there is, I think it states that if there is research needed by, I mean, I don't know the
That's
exact
it.
language, but if there's research needed by a city employee in order to provide this
Yeah.
information, then it will be $25 an hour with a minimum charge of $25. The issue is not the first part of that. The issue is at a minimum fee of $25. We can't
Gotcha.
say that because you're not, if it takes you 45 minutes, we can't bill them for an hour of time. That under the new
Do you just put in there as do you just put whoever it's the least expensive employee in the office and leave it open because wages change?
I think that what we do is we probably we can either do an average of it or we can do, I mean, I understand that wages change and without the code being every year. I mean, I don't think that $25 an hour is out of line. It just has to be the actual, it cannot be a minimum amount of this. It is whatever the actual time is. The issue with that is,
But you're not required to charge that, right?
But we want it in there if there's a case where you're doing extensive research.
there was, for example, there was a individual who wanted municipal court case records back from like 2007. And it was a whole bunch of digging. This was when Leanne was here. And it was a whole bunch of going back and trying to find it because I think that it had been with the stuff in the police station and they were trying to, I mean, and it was a whole thing and it was a lot of time that was spent by Leanne trying to find this records request because it was 18 years, or at the time, 16 years old, 15 years old. 16 or 17, I don't know. It was within the last couple of years. But
Well, we can get something.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll get it together. I guess does the council want to not charge for copies unless there's more than, 10 pages, 15 pages, 20, I mean, I don't, you want to say 5 cents a page? Do you want to say,
I thought you guys were gonna try to figure something out.
I mean, we can, but then Jen's statement was that it's gonna,
No more than 25 pages.
25 pages.
25 pages.
Okay.
10 cents a page.
I agree with Lila, I don't think we're gonna have anybody
Bring
come
your own
in here
paper.
and want us to print a 500-page document.
No,
I would be shocked.
I could see him asking for the budget and that should be just provided, in my
It's
opinion.
out on the website, right? So,
Well, no, it's not, but it can be.
I mean.
It can be now.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
25 pages, is everybody on board with that? If it's more than 25 pages, it'll be what, 5 cents a page?
10 cents.
10 cents a page, we think?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Is that all for treasure?
That is it.
Do I hear a motion to accept and file the treasure report? Moved by Officer Blair. Moved by Justin.
Interim.
We don't,
Second by Larry, all in favor. All right, attorney report.
Ordinance 655. I emailed them the updated standard poll attachment agreement and asked them for confirmation in writing that they understand that this is not negotiable. We put it in there that they are responsible at their sole cost for a makeshift. I updated it so we now have it as a form. We have it in Word. It can be modified for any company going forward. I got an email back from John Terry just a couple minutes ago. It says, Lauren, thanks for working with us on this. We understand and agree that this is the new standard form for the pole attachment agreement and that it will not be modified. So they understand that what used to be paragraph 3I in the contract is now in the middle of paragraph 1 in the pole attachment agreement, and that is non-negotiable. And so they have stated that that is the case, so they are agreeing to sign the pole attachment agreement in the event they need to attach to a pole. Before they do any of that, it will be the use, it will be the audit, the make-ready audit, plus whatever payment, which is currently $2 per pole. Everything else is the same as it was last time. So ordinance 655 is available as was printed last meeting for the council's review and or approval.
So we're ready?
We're ready. I think.
Unless anybody has anything else, in which
What do you
case.
think? Are we ready? I don't know. You tell me.
You all had speak now or forever hold your peace when Kevin was here.
Yes.
So do we need to approve this tonight?
Yes, they would like it approved, so.
They would have liked it approved 2 meetings ago.
Yeah, exactly, so
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to
Kale moves to approve ordinance
655
655.
with modifications.
No, it's been it's what it was
With
last
what
time.
you've done.
Yeah.
It's done.
It's what it was last time. We put it in tonight. We took it out tonight. It's what you saw last time.
Okay.
Okay.
Moved by Kale. Second by Bud. All in,
Roll call vote.
Roll call. Bud? Kale?
Yep.
Larry? Yes. Justin? Yes. All right.
Yes. All right. You need to sign that. She needs to attest it. I need to sign it before we leave tonight because I have to get their signatures on it and get it to the paper by Friday.
I have the one that you gave me. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
What?
This week's paper.
I have to get it to them this week to make next week paper.
Okay.
No.
Gotta be tomorrow morning.
I have the effective date in there as September 4th upon
Okay.
publication.
Like, oh, you know, I gotta make next
No.
week.
No, upon publication, I have the effective date in there of September 4th, and I spoke with John on the phone about that. I will not be here physically on September 8th. I will make myself available via, well, with the new phone, I don't know that I'll make myself available via phone. I might make myself available via Zoom, and my office has a tablet that I can bring in here.
You can use the big TV, see your face.
We don't have good enough internet for Zoom right now.
Phone.
Well, if what's his name from the state is calling in about the net metering versus, I mean, I don't know that we'll be able to do a conference. Are you guys able to do a I mean, otherwise, if somebody can call me on, otherwise, Amanda, if you can call me on my cell and put me on speakerphone next to it.
Yeah.
Cause I mean, these are fancier phones. So fancier than I'm used to.
It's not allowed to touch it.
Right, on the breaker. Anyways. I bet we can talk
Anything else, Lauren?
No. God, I hope not.
We have another big lengthy contract that we need to discuss at length.
We do, but I can't do it until you guys make a decision about net metering or parallel generation. So, hold on to your horses for September 25th.
Is there a motion to approve the attorney report? Moved by Kale, second by Justin, all in favor. Anything else anybody would like to discuss?
Bedtime?
Oh my God. So the attorney report, let me recap, was just this.
The attorney report was just this, and that I will not be physically present, so we need to at the next meeting. But I need to be on phone or Zoom for the discussion of the solar energy, so that way I can hear the conversation, get the council's decision, and God willing, have it ready to go on September 25th.